when you receive your direct mount door, there's a high likelihood that you will have flashing such as this and brackets such as these. This is our L bracket. On your newer ones, these will all be red. So when you get this package, this will be a red bracket. The flashings will all be black. And then what we call the flat plate will be yellow. And these may be assembled along the front face of the jam. Go ahead and remove those first, and then come back, and then pause this video, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about taking out the Academy system, which is the part that you're gonna need to do, as well as remove the door prior to installing your frame and removing your frame from your packaging. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna loosen up the bolt here, because this is holding the block in, as well as these four and this one. So those we want to loosen, but not remove. And if you have a Makita with a 9/16 inch end on it, that is the way to go for this.
Yeah, if you want power tool, I got power tool.
You got power tool?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're all carriage bolts. You don't need more than one tool. Since the other side, there's obviously no head, right? All carriage bolts. Okay, most important thing, keep track of all your nuts and bolts. A dead blow hammer, or you can use a piece of wood and a hammer, either one. So we're removing we call this the Academy system. So we're removing this so we can put in the shotgun explosive breech system. So what we're doing is removing all the bolts around the perimeter of the mechanism. We leave all the bolts in this section. So these two bolts are actually holding this block. These two bolts are holding this block, and the pin block is being held by these two blocks, or these two bolts.
So you know what it is?
It's gotta be green for us, we know to go. Why are you leaving the washer across? Start pulling this out. So now we're gonna pull all these out. Just give me a hard time.
Sorry, check already down, but I found it.
Oh, perfect. I can use it for reassembly, that would be perfect. Or make it faster. Is this easier? Way easier. I'm like, wait a second. It's painful to watch this guy at this point.
You had a hammer.
Even a hammer. Okay, we got 2 more to take out. So we got to clear all the bolts out of this parameter right here, including these 2, our extended head plate. So I guess the easiest way to remember this is the big hip plate right here is always on the inward side. See, it's all one piece.
Yeah.
So you want that there. And then on the opposite side, this is just a support to make it consistent on both sides. So there's a plate that sits behind this plate because of the fact that this mechanism is standardized. So that fills that space in there. It's black, so just so you know, that's. And it doesn't matter if you put this one on this side and the yellow one underneath. It wouldn't matter. They're the exact same piece. It isn't. It's a spacer. Okay, so now we've got everything out of it. The only thing that can happen now is that if there's too much tension, top or bottom, it'll still pull in on the door. So that's where we have to just make sure it's got enough gap. So that's still a little tight. And there she goes. All right, so we've removed the Academy system, and now we're gonna remove the door. The door should only be removed here at the pin, just like a typical door hinge, right? You wanna take out the hinge pin, you don't wanna move this bracket. These brackets are torqued in at 100 foot-pounds, and they're blue Loctited in place. The idea is that if you don't move this, when you put the door back in, everything should line up perfectly. So all you need to do is remove, and then here's change. So just a note, the only 2 sizes of sockets you'll need for our entire door are a 3/4, which is what I'm using right now, with a 1/2-inch bolt, or a 9/16 for any of the Academy system plates or this side of the hinge. Obviously, all we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this. Same thing here. And at this point, this becomes at least a 2-person operation. So what I'd like you to know is that when you take the door off, you'll pull the pins, top and bottom, and you'll take the door off. I would highly recommend you do this with about 3 people, typical engine company kind of thing. The best thing would be is to get 1 or 2 of you with the door like this. This will open up the hinge area and not allow your hands not to get harmed while you take the door off. Get 2 of you, 1 on each side of the door to lift, and the other person to pull the hinge pins out. Once the hinge pins are out, the door will be free, and you just pick the door up and move it over to the side. What I'll do is, come on in here close. The biggest thing that you have to remember is putting this stack back together the way you see it. You should have a standard 10-inch long, 1/2-inch bolt that goes bolt, washer, bronze washer, again back to another washer, and a nylock nut. Once that is all back together, everything should line up. Once you've put your door back in place, check it to make sure everything's lined up. If things aren't lined up initially, please make sure that as you've mounted the frame, because what would happen between taking out the door and replacing it is you've mounted your frame now into your structure, make sure your door frame is square, because that can affect the way the door is going to fit back into the space. Once these nuts and bolts are back in place, just simply tighten them up. They don't need to be super tight. It actually pivots on the bronze bushings. It just needs to be tight enough to keep it together. know if you make it too tight, because when you try and open the door, you'll feel a lot of resistance. It should move fairly easily. It should line right back up with about an 1/8 inch of space, between an 1/8 and 3/16 of space between the frame and the door.